And we're red. 31.
We'll open this meeting of July 23rd, 2015. Let the record show that John Scanlon is not present at the moment, but he is coming. Turn my phone off. Okay, first on our list is what we neglected last week. I'd like to make a motion to graciously accept the donation of $150 towards our custom magnetic signs. Not only the donation, but kudos to Kelly Sedgley at the sign shop for less than a 24-hour turnaround to get the signs made for the Tilton Boston Post Kane resident. And on top of that, she took $150 off of the bill. So I'd like to make a motion to accept the donation from the sign shop.
Second.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Approval of minutes.
Very rough draft.
Why don't we take the captain first and we'll go back to the minutes? So he can get going. All right, Captain. We'll take you first and then we'll go to the minutes. Good. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay.
So, over the last week, since last Thursday, we've handled 394 calls for service. We've had 5 arrests, several on warrants for past crimes, 1 theft by deception and driving after suspension. A couple of major crimes of the week, burglary at Mr. G's. Our detectives are working that. They're following up some leads. They got 2 pretty strong leads that they're working. And there was a felony theft at Dawson's Concrete where several $1,000s of tools went missing. And we have made some progress on that as well. We had part-time dispatcher Cheryl Keenan come in yesterday for 4 hours of, turned out to be more like 3 hours of familiarization because she's worked for us before.
So that all the paperwork's in,
As far as I know, yeah.
PARs and stuff.
Yes.
Okay.
I believe they've signed those a while ago.
Put your mics down.
What is this?
Put them up, I guess.
The other part-time dispatch, Nicole Bryant, will be in next Thursday to do the same. Cheryl has helped us out for when Harry goes on vacation at the end of the month. Cheryl's going to cover approximately 5 days of dispatch for us. It's been a busy week as far as fleet maintenance. The 5A programming got messed up for some reason. We had to take it back to Ossipee Mountain to have it reprogrammed, find out what happened. And also the seat belt, the driver's seat belt, locked in the return position, so they couldn't use the seat belt. So we didn't know if it was the cage, the prisoner cage that was interfering with it. So only checked, it's not the prisoner cage. We took it to AutoServe. They warranted the seat belt and replaced it. The 3B went to Highway and got some new brake rotors. And then it came to our attention that the Expedition siren light controller, which is 11 years old, had a slight malfunction. Corporal Morrison went to use it, went to activate it, turn the lights on. They clicked on for 1 second, then they clicked off by themselves. It's kind of a safety issue, so we brought it over to Ossipee Mountain, and they're looking at it right now. They believe it's something went wrong with the programming on that one, and that's a Tomar siren controller.
And it's 12 years old?
It's 11.
11.
Yeah, 2004. The 3A, we did replace the trunk lid struts. They had stopped working correctly, and that's what we talked about last week. We ordered them through Rock Auto online,
Oh, yeah, that's right.
and Corporal Morrison repaired those. We replaced them. Expenditures, we spent some money to advertise for 7 days in the Union Leader and associated affiliated papers with them for a full-time officer to replace Andrew, because we need to build a candidate list for it, because we didn't have a number 2 out of the last hiring process. So we're trying to get ahead of the game on that. Hopefully we'll get some certified applicants and then start a process.
Certifiable?
Do we have a process, oral date yet for the sergeant?
We do not, I just barely got the packets of who's putting in for it
Okay,
today.
all right.
Let's see.
I'd like to sit in on that one.
And some of the other expenditures will be the equipment maintenance for the siren light controller for the Expedition and the brakes for the 3D. And some of the staff that's on vacation, Rich Orr is using 32 hours of PTO this week. Matt Dawson's using 24 hours of PTO. I believe he's gone to do the Ironman.
Yep.
Officer Glenn's going to use 16 hours of paid time off, and Officer Sam is using 8. He's also planning on using 24 hours of paid time off next week.
So his hours will be up to date when he leaves?
I believe so.
Okay.
And then, no NASCAR this weekend.
Yay, right?
I don't know of any other major events going on in the Lakes.
That bad? I didn't.
Oh, I was coming home in it when they were going south. It's all the big truck.
But you were heading north, weren't you?
I was heading north in a one
Oh,
lane when 2 lanes were
Sure.
sketchy at best.
Yeah.
Wasn't the Belknap County Fair this weekend?
Isn't it the first weekend in August?
Yes, 4-H Fair.
That's like the first weekend in August.
Is it
Yeah,
next
it's
week?
usually in August.
Okay. I saw a sign and I thought it said.
Yeah, I think 8th and 9th is right.
Rich Ort organizes with the Explorers. We had them walking Main Street yesterday from 10 to 2. There was
I
3.
saw them yesterday. I introduced myself, and they were walking down Main Street and with their chalking gun
And
stick.
And they're trying to work their schedule around, because these Explorers also have to work summer jobs, so they're trying to work their schedule around doing it, but we should have a couple more in tomorrow for roughly the same times, and they're going to try to do it Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays.
I'd prefer not to announce the days.
And that's flexible too, because that could change depending on how
Right.
their work week works.
Because when they were walking downtown, all the business owners were scurrying out to pick up their cars and move them back into the municipal parking lot.
That's
It
fine.
was just like little ants coming out of the car. They were just-
Those with the vanity plates, it's easy to tell, though.
It would be nice to have them in the evenings sometimes, because last night I was at a meeting, not in this building, but there were 2 cars parked on School Street out here in our parking spaces.
Right.
And when I came, there was one there, and I thought, not sure, that could be somebody attending the meeting.
Tuesday night.
When I came out of the meeting, 2 hours later, that person came out of the inn and got in their car and drove away.
About what times would be best for that? Like 6 to 8 or 5 to 7?
Well, it's till 9, nobody parking there until 9.
So anytime after town hall closes, like tonight, she closes, what, at 5:30?
So if they're available for up to 4 hours, I could try to get them 5 to 9.
Right.
And if not, then our regular patrolmen, there's no sense in us creating parking ordinances that aren't enforced.
Right.
Right.
And this is maddening.
Right.
Ever since we put the signs out there, it's like,
Well,
I think Gail and I are the only ones that have been enforcing it. We put signs on, this could be a parking ticket.
They're also, the fitness place next door are utilizing it. They're not looking at the signs because they just assume that it's not been changed, so perhaps maybe we can just notify them next door and notify Onions that we've made a change. There's no parking on School Street, period, until after 9 o'clock. And then maybe if we just notify them, the owners, maybe they might make a difference. They can just notify the people that come.
At least they know and give them a heads up.
Well, I would think that would be okay.
Before we skip to the next one, I was wondering if they issued any parking citations. If they had any other interactions.
They did call in about a woman screaming at her kids in van down there, so we went down and addressed that. I'm not aware of them issuing any tickets yesterday, but they did have tickets with them, and they were talking tires, so.
Are they going in and saying hello to business owners or anything like that?
I told them to make themselves known, so hopefully they're doing that. I'll talk to Officer Orr to make sure.
Just curious, because it's a public relations thing as well as parking enforcement. You know, we're downtown. If you need us, give a yell. Good.
Are they authorized to use a radar gun?
No.
What, for the skateboarders?
No, School Street.
Oh, School Street. We can ask the officers to take care of that. We can have an officer sit right out here
Right out here.
in the municipal parking lot.
Do we
By
have
the
any
handicap-
handhelds they can run off of the Yamaha? The bikes?
Oh, the Polaris.
Oh, Polaris. Polaris, Yamaha.
Actually, I don't think that would work, but
Do we have handhelds?
we do have a handheld,
Okay.
and
Or you do like the state police, you pull over to the side, put the trunk up, and you stand on the front end, just,
yeah. We do have a handheld, and we can try to get that out there.
Since it's been repaved, there's a significant difference.
Okay.
Yep.
speed bumps?
No speed bumps on School Street. Well, we could, I mean, you know, it's not in our budget, but that would be perfect. Before and after the school, we'd have, so, just saying.
You put it there until they complain.
Don't be a party pooper over there.
And per our conversation last week, I did check into candidates for Academy. They do have to be appointed, which means fully hired, to apply into Academy.
Okay, so let's talk about that for a minute. I got a phone call from Nate Buffington, and the appointment for the psych test is on the 30th, on July 30th, which is crunch time for us. So it's at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. The motion was to hire contingent upon us looking at the evaluation. The evaluation, the written evaluation, won't be for a week or two after the appointment. And however, he will make a phone call in the afternoon around 2:30-ish. And I said, well, what if the selectmen were present during the phone call to the psychiatrist that gives out the psychological test? And then if the selectmen have a question, we can address it right then and there. And he said that wouldn't be an issue at all. If the selectmen agree that that could happen, we then can come back to the board and report, those that can't make it, report and agree to hire on the 30th with a swearing in on the 6th. But we would agree to hire, appoint on the 30th. But her swearing in would be, right, you could set her up for school on the 3rd, which is the Monday.
Right. We could get her paperwork and application in fully.
And you would have enough time to do that, and then we could have her swearing in on the night of the 6th.
Yes, and that would allow us to get her a uniform to be sworn into, provided she's hired.
Well, we would, right, all contingent on this evaluation and speaking with whatever, but would the board agree to a verbal if the selectmen will get a firm time which he's calling, you're all welcome?
Thanks.
Catherine and I are going to be there. I don't know if it's important to you. It's
important to me. I want to see this
What day is
taken
this?
care of.
The 30th.
30th is Thursday.
Correct. And usually I don't really want to say how they operate, but the appointment's at 1, they're usually done by 3. We expect a phone call shortly thereafter
From him?
from him.
Okay, so he can conference us here with him, or we can sit up there at 3 and wait for it.
So the option is for him to call into the PD,
It
and
sounds like that's the procedure.
then we are on the phone here talking to the PD, talking to him. I'd rather be there talking to him.
So we'll be at the PD around 3. Okay, everyone? And can we post that? We'll post that as a meeting. I know no decision, but let's post it anyway to be...
Well, we will make a
We're going to make a
decision.
decision on whether we appoint an officer.
Well, we're going to come back and make that decision in full board because John's not going to be able to be there.
No, because she's either appointed or not.
Right.
She has to be appointed at that time so he can get his stuff in. She won't be sworn in until the meeting. Oh, it's a
No,
Thursday. We
the
can do it
Thursday.
that night. Okay.
So it's a Thursday, so when we're going to come back here, John, we're talking about the new hire.
Okay.
Thursday is the psychological test. We're under the gun because she has to be hired before the 3rd in order to submit the application. So Nate has agreed that if we could sit up at the PD at 3 and be in on the conversation with the psychiatrist that lets us know it's pass or fail, and then at that time, if we have any questions, we can ask them, bring the information back to the board that evening, and then make a decision. It's a go or it's not at that point, that she'll have time to enroll in the school, and then we'll swear her in on the 6th, the following Thursday, and that week she'll have time to get a uniform for school. Does that sound like a plan? Is everybody okay with that? And we'll fill you in if you've got any questions to ask. If you just write them down, we'll make sure that they get asked.
Okay.
All right? I think it's just going to be he's going to call, pass, fail, and then if we have any questions, we can ask him. I'll make sure that Nate lets him know that the board's going to be there. All right. So that's the plan, and the board's in agreement with that. So 3 PM on the 30th.
Pencil.
Last little bit of information, yesterday we responded to a missing child call. Reported that the child was 6 years old and missing for several hours. Always kind of puts us on edge when that comes in. But through our past couple experiences, we always start the last place they were seen. And luckily, this was just as good. She was still in the house, and she was located within the house. Very pleased with that.
Nice.
And again, the other part-time dispatch will be in on the 30th for immunization.
All right. Any other questions for the captain?
Is the 5 on the road yet, or are they still working bugs?
It's not fully on the road. I'm having the supervisors kind of take it out, and they're finding issues, and if they find issues, we have it addressed.
Sure.
And, but we don't want it fully on the road until those body cameras are...
How are we, that was my question, how are we going with the body camera web training and,
We're still trying to work on that. That's something Luke and I gotta get acts on, get the online training going. And, so hopefully this coming week, because it's been somewhat of a busy week. I still gotta get the fence quotes, stuff like that, so,
On the impound?
yes.
Okay.
You have a ballpark?
Of,
Time frame?
When we're gonna be up and running?
I hope within the next two weeks.
Okay.
How long a training is it? Is it 4 hours or hour?
I don't know.
Okay.
But it's not very long. It's user-friendly and we can
Yeah.
get through it.
Okay. All
I
right.
just had one question.
Yep.
You didn't answer this already. How are you doing with the bikes?
The mountain bikes?
Yeah, did they come in?
I have not seen the new mountain bikes in yet. We still have those Polarises in the garage that the guys like. At this time, we have a bunch of people on vacation, so it's people out there on it.
Yeah.
So luckily, they're not in yet, so.
They're not asking for them back?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, just anxious, that's all.
Well, they were going to look for funding for
How
the
are they doing?
Polarises.
The funding.
Funding, I think Matt said he was trying to get a hold of Eric.
Tanger.
Tanger.
Yeah.
And Corey.
See other interest is
Yep.
support for it.
Yep.
So hopefully we'll get somebody.
I know, they are. I'd love one for myself. They're really neat. Okay, so that's where we're at with the bikes. What about the grant? Do we do any checks or anything? DUI checks or, are they coming up? Are we doing click it or ticket this year?
No, but we still have, we have DWI patrol grants to still fill. We have the pedestrian bicycle enforcement to still do.
Pedestrian bicycle enforcement. What is that? Make sure you're driving on the right side of the road if you're on a bicycle?
No, it's 3R blocks that the officers can address crosswalk issues, bicycles on the sidewalks, skateboarders on the sidewalks. They're just dedicated to the downtown area, so it's not someone that's
Grant money.
handling calls, it's someone just
Dedicated to
focused on
that.
that problem. So, and I know it was a problem for a few years.
Oh, it's still a problem. They almost clipped Cindy and I last week.
Right. So, we'll try to get them out there on all the time, and it's grant funded, that they will address those issues.
So they're gonna be out looking for people doing that?
Yes.
Okay. When you first said it, I thought it was a lecture for teenagers or people riding bicycles. Cool.
I just went to a meeting last Thursday. The state has changed the way it's going to fund these highway safety grants. And it's primarily based on population, and we have to justify anything above and beyond that, apply for it, and hopefully in the second tier we'll get more funding from it. So it's going to be kind of a rough road for the next year until we get some bugs worked out and hopefully get more money.
But we have extenuating circumstances. This has been identified as the most heavily traveled section of Route 3 in the state.
Why isn't it based on traffic, areas of
Exactly,
traffic volume,
traffic
not the
count.
population?
So can't we throw that at them?
I'm going to throw that at them, but
Smart man.
Who decided
I think that we should talk with Senator Ayotte on that, because she just had a like a town hall meeting this afternoon, and that was one of the areas in which she addressed, and people could, call in and question that, and that was one of them, was the drug trafficking that is going on in your major cities in the crossroads of the 93.
Right.
And the other one was the strict enforcement or lack of strict enforcement in the laws that have loopholes that allow the perpetrators to scoot off that was one of the things that she was going to address. One of the questions that came in on that was from a law enforcement person that asked the question, why aren't there more federal monies coming down the road to beef up enforcement? You know, more grant monies to allow them to put more officers on the highway, on patrol, on whether it's state or local. And that was the question, whether it was state or local. And she really didn't have an answer to that, but there are bills out there that are strongly suggesting that they should lead to some monies if the bills pass. But we really should put a phone call into her and say, you know what, we've got this scenario here, and my understanding down the road is that they're going to put these grants out according to population. Here's our situation. We're only, you know, under 4,000 population. However, the drug trafficking that goes on and the traffic alone on exit 20 is enormous. And then you can quote how many cars a day just down Main Street we get. That alone should allow us to have the criteria changed, and maybe she could do something. I mean, these are the times when we should be reaching out to them and letting them know that what they do affects us.
Right. Yes, and hearing some of the stuff that was going on, there was like 2 tiers. That first tier was population-based, but it can be flexible and adjusted depending on performance of, you know, your grants in the past, so your targeting of speeders and stuff like that. So we got to show that there is a need, and we have to have the guys, you know, documenting all their stops, and so we can give those numbers to them and push it up the hill so we can get the money back down. So that's going to be very
Okay. All right. Any more questions of the captain? All right, thank you for your report. You're all set? Thanks. Chief's having a good time out there. What an honor.
I had a good time this morning. My daughter was sick.
Ooh.
So, it was a short night.
Well, hopefully you can get an early one tonight.
Captain.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right, minutes? I make a motion, we move the minutes of July 16th to the floor for discussion and approval.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Why do we have red and black?
It's a very, very rough draft that Joyce was going to tweak.
Oh, got it. Yep.
I like you put in the curly fried lights.
In the RFP for solid waste, the red section, down near the bottom, right before the curly fries there, let's see, it says Selectman Scanlon to take the list out and take the list out and refer to the wheelabrator rules.
Is it on the first page?
Page 4.
Okay.
Basically, that whole section of the minutes will be revised.
Under the chief's report, other candidate is scheduled for psych interview on July 30th. Selectman Constantino adamant the board reviews the evaluation. The board was adamant that the board reviews the evaluation. That was a consensus of the board. That was part of the motion, I believe. I'm not sure that that's a proper statement. Selectman Constantino and Dawson evidently misunderstood what Corporal Ashburn was doing.
For me, it wasn't a misunderstanding.
We clearly knew what he was
Understood
doing.
the Conversation.
I think it was a misunderstanding on the job, on the assignment. Is that more accurate?
Yeah, for me, it was, I did not understand that he actually had been appointed. When he came in, it was a, this is what I'd like to do conversation.
Right, it wasn't not...
And he was going to go forward and gather more information and come back to us and discuss it with us, you know, what he planned, how it was going to be structured, blah, blah, blah.
Just take that out. I would do it. It kind of explains after when Peter was noting what it does in his job, so it's really not necessary. Wonder if we heard from any tree people. there any other corrections, concerns, or?
I don't see anything in here that discusses the motion that we made to, regarding the penalty on 40 Lakewood.
That was non-public.
That's not public information?
We made that in a non-public. We didn't make it public, though.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, we didn't make it public.
Why wouldn't we?
Not sure why we,
Because we made it in
non-public,
non-public and didn't bring it forward.
right.
So when we go into non-public today, because it looks like we're going to on our agenda, we can have that discussion and then bring it forward.
And then we can bring it forward.
Okay. Make a motion that we accept the minutes of July 16th as corrected and amended.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. The RFP.
Still working on that.
Oh, she is? Okay, let's go over a letter that we received today. You got the FYI?
No, I don't have the FYI. The FYI over there?
No, I don't think so. Nope. Peter has it.
I have it. It's first page in mine. In your folder, Joe.
So this was a letter regarding the conversation that you had back in July, I believe. May,
That was a while
about the
ago.
parking on,
Is this from the woman who was bad-mouthing Tilton?
yep.
I'm just trying to get it clear in my head. I'm not saying nothing about nothing.
So
You are correct.
what, do you have it, John?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so it's a letter, and it came to our attention. I'm going to read it for the record, and then you can just put it in the minutes if you want, and then have a minute or two, we can talk about it. This is regarding Mill Street parking lot. Dear Board of Selectmen, as you are aware, I am a tenant at Riverfront Place, and at our recent meeting, you expressed some interest in a possible agreement with my landlord regarding the town's use of his parking lot on Mill Street. I have discussed this possibility briefly with him, and my general sense is that he is interested in provided certain issues are addressed, such as, 1, my landlord would continue to maintain, plow, sand, salt, and stripe his primary parking lot adjacent to his building, as well as do the same for the parking lot. 2, the town would maintain the Mill Street parking lot, plow, salt, sand, and stripe, and the lot would be posted to prohibit overnight parking, roller skating, etc. 3, the town would maintain the ADA paver sidewalk through the park to the Mill Street lot, plow, sand, salt, etc., as well as the asphalt concrete sidewalks on Main Street connecting the Mill Street parking lot to his building. 4, the town would not collect any real estate taxes on the Mill Street parking lot. 5, if my landlord chooses to upgrade the Mill Street parking lot for paving, etc., the town would share equally in the expense on a dollar-for-dollar basis by granting a real estate tax abatement as against all real estate owned by my landlord. The town would commit to using the Mill Street parking lot for no more than 2 specific events annually, which events would not be subject to change. These are events which would completely consume most, if not all, of the Mill Street parking, and preclude me from simultaneously having a wedding banquet or other function at the same time. As these types of events are planned far in advance, I need these predetermined dates to be fixed so I can plan around them. 6, the town will maintain the existing Main Street parking spaces adjacent to the Riverfront Place, plow, sand, and salt, and stripe. 7, there would be a cross easement between the existing parking lot and Riverfront Place's Main Street parking lot. 8, the landlord would remove the gates to the Mill Street lot and allow town use, etc. 9, the town will rebate 27% of the taxes for map U6, lot 1, that's Riverfront Place parking lot, in lieu of payments to plow sand and salt, etc. Parking lot in the 7 spaces that the town has an easement over and continues to use for parking. If this is of any interest, please let me know, and I would be happy to discuss this further with my landlord. I look forward to hearing from you at your convenience. Very truly yours, Anna Yasharian.
2 letters. N. Oh,
Can we add absolutely?
yes. John?
It is way far too reaching for me. I'm not going to agree to pay 27% of their assessment.
Well, we can only use Mill Street for 2 events, but we've got to do all this work to it?
And the town would not collect any real estate taxes on the Mill Street parking lot, and pay them 27%
Yes.
on the River Place. So I make
And with the cross easement, I think that means when she has her event, she can then continue to take over all of the riverfront parking.
Well, see, we have an ingress and egress through his parking lot, but he does not have one through ours, which has always been presented, I guess. There is absolutely no benefit to the town of Tilton for this.
It's a big cost.
Nothing. We benefit from nothing.
If we sign this and he decides to pave it, we have to pay for half of the paving, too.
Well, under number 2, if we're going to stripe the Mill Street parking lot, you don't stripe gravel.
Yeah, but again, if he paves it, then we're compelled to
Yes.
stripe it.
Yeah. And pay half. But we can split the striping with them, maybe.
Well, I make a motion that we politely decline this agreement and thank her for taking an
Creativity.
interest in sending it in.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm in the process of ordering the
Aye.
signs for the commissioners.
Opposed, anybody? Okay. Done. We'll tell Joyce when she comes up that she needs to send a letter back to that effect.
Like, thank her for her creativity.
Okay. Just to touch on John and Peter, some background before the fire commissioners get here. Are you aware of the history of the Lakes Region Mutual Aid?
They briefed me on it.
In 2012, Lakes Region Mutual Aid, we are a member. Tilton has 1 member to Lakes Region Mutual Aid, and it used to be Brad Ober. Now it's Mike Sita. Northfield has their own member, and it used to be Steve Bloom. Now it's the other selectman. I think it's Wayne. In 2012, Pat Clark, as a commissioner, petitioned the Belknap County Commissioners in a lot of surrounding towns, and it created a big hoopla of a mess to be billed directly from Lakes Region Mutual Aid instead of being out of the county. Well, that caused us to have an extra bill of $4,000 to be billed out of Lakes Region Mutual Aid. Now, what they want us to do is to agree with them to have it billed out of the district instead of Lakes Region Mutual Aid, which would mean that we would pick up 66% of the bill. So currently, the bill is $31,790, it would increase by $7,318, and it would be a savings of $11,598 to Northfield. So in total, we're probably in about $12,000 higher if we're directed. Now, this is not just for 1 year, this is for every year it's going to be that way, because if the apportionment changes in any way, we'll owe more or less, depending on what the apportionment is. So that's kind of a short and sweet background of what it is that they're asking us to do. So in your folder that Gail has put together under the Lakes Region Mutual Aid, there's a letter from, well, it starts out to Joyce, to the board, from Mike Satar, and he starts out by saying that he would like to address and have a meeting, but then Tim then asked the question, well, what is the extra cost of that? And if you look on page 2 at the top of the email, it's spelled out very nicely. Hi, Wayne. So in 2013, it was $31,790. Going forward, it would be $41,066.
He's 5 or 10. Keep going back like that. Try that all.
Gail, is Joyce downstairs? See if she's ready.
Don't worry about that.
Everybody,
Are we signing?
sign in.
Oh, yeah.
I said yes, everybody.
What is this?
What is it? Let me see. This is just their bill. This is their budget. This is the fire department's budget, I believe. Is this Lakes Region Mutual Aid? Yeah, this is the budget.
There's no heading on it.
Waiting, who else we waiting for? Is Paul coming?
Paul's not gonna be able to make it work tonight, but the chief should be here.
Okay. You want to put your mic down? You want to put your mic down so you can be heard? You want to wait for the chief?
Maybe just give him a couple more minutes.
Yes, hotel.
He's pretty knowledgeable about it. Government bodies.
Here.
Bob, how are you?
How you doing?
She didn't answer the phone. Down and get my computer. I don't have time.
We're waiting for Mike.
Pat, if you'd like to get going, I think it'd probably be okay.
Give it a minute. We have to start right at 5:30. We have a very tight schedule tonight.
Oh, it's not till 5:30.
So,
2 nights,
Still follow what's
right?
seems pretty steep.
The red jacket.
Not this, we held them to this a few years ago.
Want to sign that?
And give them a ceiling.
No,
No?
haven't decided on
Kind of a
the
goal.
amount yet.
But they do follow this.
Well, see,
I see what it says.
This would be no.
yeah, but
Yes,
why
I agree.
Why couldn't we have?
Cost of the tax card is that amount.
Yeah, exactly.
There's some money and you
Paying
get the
that amount,
intended
just
to.
stay overnight instead of driving.
Yeah, bring it up.
I am. I'm just showing you.
Good.
I don't know, if that come out of,
It comes out of the monies, the budget,
well, then I got
but
nothing
it
to
comes
say.
out, it comes out of the taxpayers' money.
I'm gonna mention it.
They approve it. Still steep. I'm paying that for 2 nights.
I don't think it's out of control as far as the kind of price goes, just the whole concept, kind of.
I just set those one down.
It's got nothing to do with whoever it is.
And this year it wasn't Kim.
Number 5.
Kim didn't go. Usually Kim
that how
goes,
much
but
we
she
owe on
doesn't. She
Maybe I
was,
should have put in for
No, this is-
Deborah when I
this
went
is
to the
River.
recycle conference.
Yes,
I
it
went
is.
both days. Same thing.
it is.
Oh, yes,
That's it? And
that's
then we're
the oil
done?
It's not
tank. This is
unreasonable
it.
because it's only an hour
okay.
away.
This one is the
Right?
oil tank.
Clean up
An hour and 20
Remember we found the
minutes.
surprise?
at the end, yeah.
Depends on the traffic.
You need more holler.
Wasn't supposed to be there. This is the actual building.
Your signature is almost the same as Bob Bear's.
I looked at it. I'm not going to sign it. That would mean that I agree with everything.
All right, well, welcome, everyone. This meeting was asked for by the fire commissioners. All right. So I'm going to let you go ahead and start, and I'm sure that our board has quite a lot to say. So go ahead and,
Well, back in the 2014 district meeting, we were requested to look into this matter. I don't have the exact wording in front of me, but that was the push that we were voted on, and that's what we're doing, is just trying to get the governing bodies together to take a hard look at it. What we've done in the process is we've gotten Chief Hayes from Mutual Aid to write this letter that I think most people have in their hands today. Chief Seagar was going to print off some more and bring it over in case they were missing, but I think everybody here, except for maybe one person, doesn't have it. I also have Ray Lefebvre here. He's the president of the Mutual Aid, we call council. He's from Andover, and we kind of joked about it a little bit. We have 2 towns in our district. Well, he deals with 32 towns in the mutual aid, so he gets a lot more phone traffic than we do. So anyway, that's where we're at right now. So it basically, I think it might be a good idea for maybe Chief Hayes to kind of describe the situation, or Rain, either one, and you pretty much have a pretty good idea of what the situation is. It's kind of spelled out in the letter, and then look at what options there might be, one way or the other.
Yeah, essentially this is kind of awkward for me to start the discussion because I'm the third, actually fourth party in this whole thing. But the content of the letter was in an attempt to provide just the financial implication of changing the current structure of membership in the Treaty Mutual Aid System. The way our organization is structured, each community joined as a member, not necessarily the agency that's providing the service. And Tilton Northfield is an example of that, where you have a fire district with 2 communities. So each community joined as a member, and therefore any of this assessments for the cost of running the mutual aid system and providing emergency dispatch services is borne by the member community, not by the agency that's providing the service. Now, in a number of communities, the assessment is included in the fire department budget, but it's ultimately paid by the community. So the question, it's been raised several times in the 5 years that I've been with the mutual aid system. The discussion has come up several times of, are there different ways that it can be done? You know, why does one community pay one rate, one community pay the other rate? The assessments are all based on a single formula, so the difference in assessment amount are based on the different components that relate to each of the individual communities. Principal components for the operating budget are based on a 10% assessed portion of the budget is divided equally amongst all the member communities. Then 40% of the budget, the equalized assessed value of the community is factored into that 40%, and then 50% of the budget is based on the population of the community. That's where you get different rates of why different communities pay different amounts. It relates to that factor for that individual community. So then the question was raised, well, why don't we send the bills to the fire district? The fire district is not a member of the mutual aid system, so we can't bill the fire district. The 2 communities are the respective members, so we send the assessments to the communities. Can the fire district be the member? Under the bylaws of the organization, fire district could be the member of the Lakes Region Mutual Aid System. Effectively, that would mean the 2 respective communities would need to withdraw from the organization, and the fire district becomes a singular member. For all 3 entities to be members, I'm not sure how we would figure that out. But if the fire district was to become the member, the assessments would be calculated in the exact same way that they are now. It's based on the element of the community that's being protected. So we would take the town of Tilton, the town of Northfield, calculate them as they are, and then combine them together, and that becomes the one assessment for the fire district, because the fire district protects the 2 communities as a whole. And that's what I was trying to reflect in this letter that I prepared for Chief Seacar back in June. And beyond that, I guess I'm open to questions. Not sure what else I could provide other than what's already in the letter.
I would like to make one clarification from what you said, Pat. You said at the annual meeting, the district voted on investigating this. I don't recall an actual...
That was not this last district meeting, it was the previous one.
We actually voted on it, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I am...
There's a warrant article in the 2014 fire district meeting.
Thank you, because I couldn't find one in 2015.
Warrant article, not 2015.
Yeah, 2014.
Article 9. Thank you, I found it. Okay.
Now, one of the things you said, Chief, is that the fire district could become a member, but still would be set the same way, but the bill would go to the fire district at that time.
That's correct.
But the assessment would be figured the same way. And the way that would happen would be that both towns would have to pull out.
Correct.
To make that happen. And the vehicle to make that happen would be...
The vehicle to make that happen, I don't know the in and out operations of the fire district and the relationship with the communities. So I would say the legal counsel of the three entities is where you're going to ultimately find that answer as to whether the respective select boards and the fire commissioners have the authority to make those decisions in and of themselves, or whether it has to be a vote of the people of Tilton, people of Northfield, and then the people of the fire district. That's the legal, I can't give you any input on that. That's
Well,
legal counsel from the communities.
let me just say this about that. In 2012, we were billed out of the county, and there was quite a disturbance about why should the 12 towns be billed out of the county. And so they took us out of the county, and that was an increase to us about $4,100. And so the town is now bearing an increase of $4,100. So what the commissioners are asking us to do is now bear approximately $11,000, maybe $12,000 more each year, so that we can only be billed out of the district. Why would the town of Tilton enter into an agreement such as that and ask the taxpayers of the town of Tilton to increase their tax dollars by $12,000 a year because the fire commissioners would like to be billed out of Lakes Region Mutual Aid and become one billing center instead of being the town and having our own member in the dispatch. And that's really what it boils down to.
Just for clarification, we've never voted as fire commissioners to do that in the past. We talked about all the ins and outs.
Well, where is this coming from, then? It's got to be coming from somewhere. Who put it on the town warrant in 2014? Members?
Who put it on the fire district warrant in 2014? It wasn't the fire commission.
It came by petition.
I don't understand why somebody would sit here and ask the Board of Selectmen to increase our budget by $15,000 going forward to the taxpayers when we could use that $15,000 on something very significant of value to someplace else in the town of Tilton. To me, it's just a no-brainer not to do that. And, by the way, it would be a decrease of almost that to Northfield. So I don't get why you're asking the town of Tilton to do that.
Because it was a warrant that was petitioned by the
Well,
voters.
you satisfied the warrant, you come here, you talk to us, and it's, $14,000 more in our pocket is, Donnie's raising his hand, he's going like this.
Yeah, the only reason I am, you really didn't answer the question. The question was, how would you give it up and have the commissioners take it over? You'd have to have a warrant article for your town meeting, you'd have to vote on it. That's how you would do it.
If the selectmen,
Withdraw from the Lakes Region Mutual, or whatever you call it now, you would be withdrawing and tip off you, that's the...
But if the shoe were on the other foot, Donnie, would you want the warrant article?
I'm not saying you should, I'm saying if you want it, that's what you gotta do.
the selectmen would have to choose to put it on the warrant article, to bring it to the legislative voters, or it would have to come by petition.
Do it by petition.
Right. That's right. It would be a vote of the town's legislative body, not the district's, whether or not the town of Tilton is going to withdraw. But I don't think that's going to happen.
Well, I gotta think it's just too. Now, does anybody here know why it's the way it is now?
That would be
Other than me,
Well-
I was on the committee.
You have to remember that one of the other options we have as separate communities is we choose to have Lakes Region Mutual Fire Aid be our dispatch. We could choose not to.
Oh, you're right.
So because we choose to and Northfield chooses to, they happen to be in Merrimack County. You're just on the wrong side of the river. And because we are part of Belknap County, that was a county perk, if you will. Of course, now they don't value it as the county, it's separate communities.
Right.
Yeah, not anymore.
How many towns do you have outside of the county, Belknap County?
Tell me how to do math. 33 minus 11 is 22 towns outside the county.
How would,
We have 30, actually 35. We have 35 communities in 5 different counties that make up the Lake Street Mutual Aid system. Belknap County is the only one where all of the communities in the county are part of the system. And that's why from the beginning of the Communication Center in 1971, that's why the Belknap County communities assessment was paid through the county budget, which was a very good arrangement for Lake Street Mutual Aid
And us
early
too.
on, because it addressed cash flow issues and everything else. But over time, as the mutual aid system has grown and other issues, communities, particularly over the last couple of years, began looking at the assessment formula that Lake Region uses to generate the assessment per community. When the county, the 11 communities in the county, we provided all of that data to the county. They took it, added it all together as one lump sum, included it in their budget. They use a different funding formula than what we did. And that's why Tilton actually received a benefit of paying a lower assessment. But the 4 communities that were paying substantially higher assessments said enough's enough. We're not going to continue to do that. And they made it clear to the county they no longer wanted to participate. And the county's position was it's one or none.
Yep.
And so we subsequently withdrew from the county budget process completely.
Kevin, you had a question?
I don't think there's much of a choice as far as choosing who does your dispatching. How would you opt not to have community fire do your dispatching? What do you mean, go to Concord Fire Alarm, they dispatch on different frequency?
I talked to Belknap County a few years ago.
How would that work?
They said they could make it work, they just were too busy.
And I don't know if you talked about asking the taxpayers to.
But who knows who may come up in the future? It is an option. Somebody may come and create another one. I hope not, because this one works pretty well. But those possibilities exist. They're just options that we now have.
Arguing that it doesn't work well. It's one of the best dispatch centers in the United States.
Well, I don't know about that. It certainly works well for us.
Taxpayers to take it on the chin, so to speak. I don't know if you remember that at one time, the Northfield taxpayers more than took it on the chin for Tilton and Sandrington when the school district funding formula was all screwed up. And we're talking like how long.
I would have to disagree. When we were paying almost $15,000 per student and Northfield was paying, what, 6?
I'd like to point of order and say that we're talking about mutual aid right now, so let's keep it focused on mutual aid.
I'll agree with that.
I have a question. Is there any benefit to the Tilton taxpayers for making this switch?
The benefit from the fire department perspective is that we would be the contact person for mutual aid. You know, putting all the money aside, the ideal thing would be to have the representative to the mutual aid come from the fire department. It would probably be the chief. He would represent the district as a whole. We're under RSA, we're a village district, so we're looked upon as if we were a town doing, the commissioners doing selectmen type responsibilities just for the district responsibilities. So the district would be taking care of, our representative from the fire department would be the representative on mutual aid. All right?
The chief is our representative now.
No, he's not. He's our alternate.
Yeah, well.
So we've got separate representatives, so that's number one. Number two, the dispatch performs the service for the fire department. Not for the towns, it's for the fire department, it's for the fire district, really. And that's what it's there for. It's not for the police department, it's not for anything else, it's for the fire department. So it makes sense, logically, one could make a claim that it would make sense for the bill to be borne by the fire district. You know, setting all the monies aside, it would make sense for the bill to come to the district. But as so oftentimes happens, you get into a situation where the money shifts when you do this kind of thing, and that doesn't make people happy. Now, when you look at it relative to the size of the overall budget, we have what a $1.9 million budget. The town of Tilton has what, your $5 million? Northfield is how many? 3+. So when you look at that, the scale of things, $10, $11, $12,000 shifting from one side of the river to the other, into the fire, into the...
Can't believe you're saying that.
I know, I'm going,
As a Tilton resident, I can't believe you're saying that.
he's not, he's a fire district representative now.
One can make the argument that would make sense. So we're not here to say what should happen. We're here to find out exactly how it would happen if people wanted to make it happen. And I think that, Kevin, you were pretty clear about that. No, I think it was Don, you were pretty clear about that either the selectman or, a citizen would have to get a warrant article together to present to each town. And then that would be the first step. But after that, we would still have to, I guess we wouldn't have to go to mutual aid then, would we? Because in your bylaws, you say that it's all right for it to come.
But the district, when the communities withdrew, the district would have to apply for membership and then just be voted on by the board.
I think we've heard enough.
And
I have one
if that should
comment. I
happen,
want to refute what he
that's a
said.
difficult thing to have happen. What do you think?
So let's take the work, get it signed, and we take it to the board of directors and ask them if they
In your
want to.
dreams.
Catherine has something to say.
What you said, about the district having the representative as the chief, right now in Tilton, and I don't know what Northfield does for representative, but we have a partnership. I'm the representative and the chief is the alternate, but we recognize the chief's expertise. And he basically attends the meetings, and most of the meetings are for the chiefs. They're not for selectmen. It really may be budgeting time. So he does go as a representative. He may be the alternate, but we, the selectmen here, recognize that he should go in those times. During budgeting season, I may accompany him, but we recognize his expertise and we value it. And we're not going to spend $11,000 and lose that, just so the district can be the member, because in Tilton, it works. We save our taxpayers' monies, and we have a partnership with our fire chief, which I think is what we should have as a community. He's a very valuable resource, and we use him as such.
Amen to that. Donnie, we'll wrap it up.
I like the correct back on thing. That dispatch center better be there for Tilton and Northfield, not just the fire department.
Yes.
And, because that's who they represent. But the way the dispatch center works right now, I don't know what their budget is. I think it's somewhere around 1.1 million. And not one single elected official spends that money. They need to start sending their operating budget to every town budget committee, let us review it, and say, yeah, you can do that, or no, you can't.
We're aware of their budget. They send us their budget during budget season. Yep.
Very informative.
You get a chance to respond, either yes?
Yes.
Yes, we do.
Yes.
We have.
And the chief responds for us.
And we've asked questions.
Have a budget hearing as well.
Right.
That's right.
And in the past, when Brad was our representative, he used to come and explain it to us.
Yep.
And the finer points.
And I guess my point to Donnie is that, and the two towns do have control of mutual aid. They have representatives that, because the bill goes to them. That's the way it is right now. The issue has come up in the past. What would happen if one town decided to pull out? What would that mean to the fire district? We're really hogtied right now because we're not in any position to say anything. Although the service is really for the fire department. and the fire district.
The service is really for the people in the towns of Northfield and Tilton, not the fire department. The service,
It's a fire district.
ultimately, it's serving the residents of Tilton and Northfield.
That's right. But we have, the fire district is the one that, is the one that the services are there for. You know, it is. That's the way it is. So, but we have no control over it. On the governing body, or even the chief, we have no control over it, say so over it. So if you or Northfield wanted to pull out, you could do that. But where would that leave us if that happened?
With somebody else dispatching for the town of Tilton and maybe somebody else dispatching for the town of Northfield. But as Kevin said, that doesn't make sense.
It does not.
Why would we withdraw from
Right.
an agency that does such a marvelous job for it and has been?
Why would you go there,
Yeah,
Pat?
why would you even suggest such a thing? I can't even imagine Northfield would consider such a
I have
thing.
a question.
Yeah.
Let's just say that we brought forward a warrant article saying that we were going to withdraw and that the district was going to pick it up. Northfield does the same. People tend to vote with their wallets. Let's just say that Northfield agrees and they withdraw. And the voters in Tilton say, what? No, we're not going to withdraw. And so then what do we do?
You don't go anywhere. You don't, you have to.
But Northfield is withdrawn.
They'd have to figure out who's going to dispatch for them.
They'd end up paying, they'd end up rejoining mutual aid.
The warrant
Or maybe
article
they would withdraw from the
has to be
district.
written up that we, as a town, we're voting on this, but in order for it to be effective, both towns have to agree to it. And that's how the warrant article would have to be written up. And I'm sure it could be written up in that kind of way, if people wanted to do that. I don't think, well, I can't speak for the commissioners, so I'm not going to do it, but I just wanted to hear what the process would be like. And if that happened, if both towns did agree to withdraw and allow the application from the fire district to mutual aid occur, then there's no other steps. We would just fill out the paperwork that would happen, and the assessment will be done based on a combined population, combined equalized valuation, and we would be 1 out of 31 instead of 32.
And Tilton would pick up 66% of it.
Right, and that's not going to happen.
And
as long
Tilton would
as I'm
pick up
sitting here.
66% of it. So you're just belaboring the point. Does anybody else have anything new to add to it?
What sense does it make for someone who does not have a fire department that belong to a mutual aid association?
No, probably that would be a question for Jim, I guess. That would be a deficit, I would think.
There's someone that belongs to an association that doesn't have a fire department. And so are we. Neither town has a fire department.
Yes, we do. We essentially, we buy our services from the district,
So we have a fire department.
so we have a fire department. Otherwise, we'll stop paying the district and do something different.
You do not have.
That's a bold statement.
You don't.
No, it's like saying we don't have a water company.
Do you have a water company?
Yes, we do. We buy services from them. Actually, we have three.
Separate municipal entity.
We have three. Wow.
It's interesting.
To me, it's like,
Then what are we sending money to the district for?
because you're buying something from them.
And we have it. Once we buy it, we have it. I mean, that's,
Just like the Pines,
that's, right.
I guess? I think this is
All right.
not going anywhere.
Thank you very much for coming in.
Any other questions by anybody?
Thank you. Appreciate you. Appreciate the time. I did. I already did. Did anyone from Northfield want to say anything? I asked that already. You didn't, okay. Catherine didn't think I asked it. I think it was too angry. Thank you. Thanks, Mike. I appreciate it.
Night, Mike.
Thanks.
Thanks,
Good
Pat.
night, Pat. Good to see you.
Take care.
Good night.
Good night, Dennis.
Say bye to Kevin.
Well, I can think of one argument for it, but it still doesn't make sense for Tilton.
Then it's not an argument for it.
Well, if I lived 100 yards that way, it would make perfectly good sense. I understand what they're saying, I understand it,
I do too.
but,
Sure, they're gonna save 11,000, almost 11,600.
and we're gonna spend almost
Seven.
8.
And
7,300.
you put that over a 10-year period of time. Think of what we could do with the 100 grand.
Northfield's
Well, it
assessment.
only takes 25 people
When's
to bring it
Northfield's
forward on a
assessment?
petition
They
warrant
haven't done
article.
it. They're due,
I think
And
theirs
we'll
is the
deal
year
with it
after
if that
ours now.
happens.
so theirs will
But I would
change.
never vote one way or the other.
And then,
That
I couldn't
happens,
vote for it.
that happens, I'm voting to
So
go to
that
legal
could
counsel
actually
to
change
make sure that we're on good
district.
stead with it.
if they did it, it would only be, it would be based on Northfield's next year's assessment, which we don't even know what it is, so we don't really know what the cost would be yet.
That would
No.
be frightening.
It may well change. We don't know.
It would
Up or
change,
down.
but that would change every 2 years, which would be off of ours, because Northfield's probably going to go up.
Maybe.
Ours went up.
But not to the extent ours, because they're predominantly residential and,
When is their evaluation?
I think it's next year.
yeah, hotel,
Residential
I mean,
prices are
the rental
Joyce, when
prices.
is Northfield's evaluation?
I just can't see our town meeting approving something like that.
But, I mean, even...
Listen, we approved 61 Business Park Drive, and then we bought it back, took the bond back, remember?
I do. I was at all of those
Who was the
town
big
meetings.
cheerleader for it before he was against it?
Again, that we digress.
Oh, sorry.
And then after that, I mean, they'd have to actually look at the whole formula different to do averaging over 5 years, because of, that would be the only fair way to do it, because so many towns are on such a different assessment, it's going to bounce around.
They probably have to do that annually.
When was it?
They would have to do it annually and average
Because
it over every,
35 towns,
and-
every year, there's probably going to be towns that have been
I think they're a
revalued.
year after us. I think it's this year.
I think we probably have that information in the school district things.
All right, Joyce, you're up.
We should probably re-examine zoning the district. I'm serious.
Yeah?
Those, Jane?
Some of the calls.
You should have hollered, I'd chuck them at you.
80% are in total.
I buy in bulk.
So, I mean,
I got an 11-pound box.
almost 66% of the bills, so you
Abe's Market online, I think it
we
was.
don't get,
How much is it, 11
do you know what
pounds?
I mean, the money
About $75.
cost.
Their net assessed value in 2014 was $279,963,709.
Call it 280.
So when is their total reval? In
Their
15?
assessment update was in 2012.
So
15 this year, right?
I thought it's every 5 years.
It's every 5.
The year they were assessed, their net value was $275,834,756. So they've gone up.
So they'd be riding on a lower assessment for 3 more years?
So they're actually a year before us.
2 years before us. We're 2014, they were 2012. Remember, we were both going to do it 2013?
So it's a huge difference.
So they're 17, so it would be 3 years.
So they ride 3 years on the lower value.
Yep.
We were 14 and they were 13, so we switched to 13, and then they decided to go to 12 because they got a good deal from their appraisal company. So then we said, well, we're going to go back to 14 then.
All in all, it would be best if both towns were on the same, if somehow we could
We tried
coordinate that
that.
together, or split an assessor, have one assessor for all three towns, Samverton, Tilton, and Northfield, were all on the same assessing date. That would help with the school district thing, and it would also help if something like this ever did go through, or got shifted around. But that would probably be a good effort. I think that would be a better effort to, better direction to use their efforts. And then approach this.
Well, when Mr. Waldron was talking about the school formula, even though their percentage went up, they pay the least of any town per pupil,
They do get more state aid.
quite a bit more.
That state aid used to be combined,
That's if you're a...
subtracted from the
yes.
cost, and then
Right.
that number was
And you
divided
remember
amongst
when
the town.
the money was left over and the district wanted to give back the money, we didn't get back what we put in,
It
but
went to
Northfield
Northfield.
did. Northfield did.
Well, be that as it may,
We're an
it's your
uncooperative
turn,
district.
Joyce.
Okay, Pat said I could bring up first, I sent you all an email, it was rather late today, but the Piper had originally notified the town that they were going to start construction on July 27th. They won't be able to start until Monday, August 6th.
Wasn't it originally around July 4th?
Well, they had to make the joint, and so it's fluid.
Must be a good joint.
Big joint.
I was looking at the July calendar instead of August, and it's Monday, August 3rd they want to start, not the 6th. And it's Piper that's requesting that the two boards waive the provision on the traffic management plan that says that notice of the closure of Cannon Bridge must be published in the Winnisquam Echo weekly newspaper the week prior to the closure. Also, press releases informing the public of the upcoming bridge closure must be sent to Winnisquam Echo, Laconia Citizen, and Laconia Daily Sun no later than 7 days prior to the closure. So for them, starting August 3rd, there isn't sufficient time to get a notice in the Echo, because that would come out on July 30th. So, and the Northfield Board reviewed this last night, and they said they didn't have any problem with, they're fine with a waiver for August 3rd. Still go ahead and publish the Echo in the 30th, even though it doesn't meet the 7 days in advance.
Can we put up a variable message board?
Well, they have a number of things in their traffic management plan for signage. It says 5 signs are required to alert motorists of the detour.
I'm talking prior to the start.
Oh, prior to the start?
You know, like this Pike had the sign for night paving starting on whatever date, you know, Cannon Bridge closing Monday, August 3rd.
They could, but that wasn't part of the original traffic management plan. I mean, they could ask them.
What did our clerk of the works require of them?
You should have asked him before he left.
Yeah,
No.
he didn't. He
I
just...
thought he did. Well, I had a parking lot conversation with him,
Okay.
where he was going to suggest something, but I couldn't attend that meeting.
Oh, the one last night?
No, the first meeting they had.
I recall it came up in...
No, he ran the construction meeting. You were there, remember? We both attended that.
I was at the construction meeting for Ernie's.
Oh, for Ernie's. Oh, well, no, the construction meeting for Cannon Bridge, Donnie ran that meeting.
Right, and when I talked to Donnie in the parking lot before it,
Oh, before
he was
that
going to
meeting.
bring up signs posted before they started to let people know the bridge was going to be closed. What I'm saying is...
Oh, to put up signs, not post in the paper. Okay.
They're going to have to post in the paper, because that's what our contract agreement says. But he was...
No, this was in the
I'm
original
willing to waive
RFP. This was in the original RFP that was approved by both boards.
That's part of the contract.
Part of the contract is just to waive putting it in the paper, correct? The Echo.
It won't meet the 7 days.
Putting
The
it in,
question
but
is,
not
are there going
meeting
to be
the 7
signs
days.
posted
Right.
also?
So we could virtually say we could waive it with the understanding that there would be variable signs put up warning people.
Okay, but that would require a change to the contract. They'd have to do some sort of change order then. What they did was the RFP was approved, and then they approved the contract, and the contract incorporated everything that was laid out in the RFP. So technically, this is in the contract.
So then why don't we waive it contingent upon variable message boards? There's our counter.
Anything you change in the RFP is going to require some kind of documentation because it is part of the agreement. So if
Sorry, say that again?
anything we waive is going to have some paper trail behind it.
Right, which is a request coming from the contractor saying, I'm not going to meet the deadline, can you waive that, or we just move the date? If you want to move the date, then move the date. That's the option. But requiring at this point variable signs would mean a cost, so we could ask them, but that's over and above what the contract is. I mean, certainly
So
go
it's
ahead
going to
and
be
ask,
7
but-
days instead of 10.
It's going to be 4 days
Yes,
instead of 7.
10, Instead
I
of
thought
7.
I'm looking at the day they're going to start, the 6th.
No, I was wrong. I sent out another email immediately after saying, oops, I was looking at July, not August. It'd be August 3rd, not the 6th.
Okay.
The alternative would be to start August 10th. Oh, would that still give the Echo, because, well, the Echo's deadline is the Monday.
Right. For the Thursday,
For
right?
the Thursday, yeah, so Thursday to the August 3rd. No, August 10th, Thursday to August 10th.
That's 7 days.
Yep.
I'm okay with either, whatever the board decides, I'm fine with.
Now, the quicker the better, I think.
Where else it
I'm
is
sure
being
they'll
posted?
be fine,
Where
whatever you
else is it
decide.
being posted besides the Echo?
The Sun and the Citizen, right?
No,
The Citizen.
You just said the Sun.
If this contract says the Sun, then it's the Sun.
Then it's the Sun.
does it specifically say the Sun?
Yes. Winnisquam Echo
This was
press
before.
releases, and the Winnisquam Echo, Laconia Citizen, and Laconia Daily Sun, no later than 7 days prior to the closure.
Note to self, in the future, instead of those ads, put the money toward the variable message boards, because that's where the people will pick it up.
Yeah.
Who reads the notices in the paper?
Nobody. That's right.
Nobody believes anything in some of the papers anyway. One of them.
One of the papers, anyway.
Also says Cannon Bridge shall not be closed until 24-hour notice of the upcoming closure is provided to. It lists all the selectmen, the police, the fire, the mutual aid, and Belknap County Dispatch.
All right, so what is the board's wish?
Let's wait.
Waive it.
Get her done.
Waive it.
Waive it, waive it, waive it.
So is it still 7 days
No, it
before?
would be 4 days instead of 7.
For the Echo.
It'd be 4 days. It comes out on Wednesday.
But if we say yes to waive it, it'll be 7 days for all the others.
That's true. I get my Echo in the mail before Thursday.
I get mine on Wednesday.
Really?
If you get them in the mail.
You can
I get
'em-
mine on Thursday,
You get
In the
it
mail?
in the mail.
Well, mine
Yeah.
comes on Wednesday.
You get it online on Wednesday.
Yeah. Well, mine comes in Thursdays in the mail.
Well, you really have snail mail.
Yeah, we get it here on
Yeah.
Thursday.
I get
I'll have
mine.
to check her mailbox Wednesday night.
Mine's
I don't
always
care.
Thursday.
Okay,
So-
so we're all consensus?
Yep.
I'll make a motion
Next.
that we waive the time frame.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Aye. I'm leaving.
Opposed? Everybody agreed.
Okay, Salmon Run. You notice the lovely fence?
Lovely.
And they gave me the invoice to pay, but this is coming out of, I don't know how much will be coming out of Ernie's, because all they did was put in 500 feet, and it looks like part of it did extend over onto Ernie's. But what they would like to know is if the highway department could start to keep the grasses along the road where the split rail fence is weed whacked. The Conservation Commission had approached District 3, and District 3 it's at the bottom of their list of things to do. Also, he's raking out some rocks and stones into some small piles. When they put in the fence, they dug up the stones and rocks, and not were all able to go back in the hole, so there's quite a few. Also, as stuff is cleared along the roadway, hopefully they can keep it picked up and cleaned up and not leave a bunch of dead plants there. He had also asked, because you had said that you were going to do some cutting.
Yeah, I started doing
And
cutting.
did the highway come pick it up? And Dennis said, fine, he'll gladly do that, but would it be easier for him if they just left the trailer there, so you could put everything right in the trailer, and then they can take it to the dump? That way you're not handling it, they're not
You're
handling
doing more cutting on Ernie's and Salmon Run?
Along the river.
Along the river, I don't know if there's room to put it there, but how big's the trailer?
Why is the town of Tilton picking up cuttings that you're cutting off DOT property? And why
Because-
are you cutting on DOT property?
They got permission, did you read the email?
I haven't read
You
any
get them?
emails, I
Okay.
haven't had time.
We've been trying to get them to do it for a couple of years, and I volunteered to do it. I asked permission to do it, and they gave me permission to cut it,
Round up.
because it just wasn't getting done. The view was completely obscured and blocked, and it just looked like it, so. Along with any volunteers from the Conservation Commission wanted to help.
Where's the liability if some of that goes into the river and
None of it's going in.
you're gonna guarantee that?
Yeah,
None of it's gonna go in,
can't go in. It's,
none of it's gonna get to the dam, none of it's gonna cause a problem,
no.
because that was a big...
Beavers put it in the river. That's
Yeah,
my
but-
story, and I'm sticking to it.
There was a big liability issue when we were developing Riverfront Park about brush in the river and the dam.
So Dennis said that they would be more than happy to do,
It's cut and
What-
stacked butt ends of the brush pointing out in trees right next to the railroad tracks in that one section, all neatly stacked now. There'll probably be a little more cutting that gets done.
I agree, there's no place to put the trailer down there.
Unless you put it on the other side of the,
I mean, all it means is they would drop off the trailer, I would pick up the branches, put them in the trailer, and then they drive the trailer away. I think it's
Well, we can't leave it in the railroad right away.
It's on the state right away. It's past that wall, and there's a stack by the guardrail.
There's no
Railroad's
shoulder.
still DOT. Bureau of Railroads. So we just
they didn't
pilot.
give permission.
Yeah, that's a different branch.
Don't go
That's a
there.
completely different branch.
Well, we are talking brush, though, branches.
Well, if you put it over near the porta potty, is there any room?
That's a distance to travel with it.
Oh, well,
Well,
That's still not town property.
none of
It's
it's
a
a town
state
property,
property,
all the way,
right?
they said we could get anywhere from, they came out and checked to make sure there's no invasive species.
Oh, good.
And verified that's okay to cut that hole from Timetable Mabel all the way up to Salmon Run. That's all set. I cut all the stuff that was on the top of the wall now, and there's a big land piece that's there, maybe 15 feet. As you get to the middle section of the guardrail, it only is about 3 feet, and then there's a rock wall that goes about 10 feet. Down at the bottom, what you see left is the remainder of when they just used to always cut it off with the grinder, so that you have big stumps that are about 3.5 inches thick at this point, and then they go up to the bushy stuff.
Bigger
What-
shrubs.
Yeah, so what I was going to do is, now that the river's low, I'm going to get in the canoe along with a couple volunteers. We're going to cut anything that's less than 4 inches off at the base of the wall, put those sections into the canoe and paddle them down somewhere where we can put them on land,
Riverfront.
riverfront.
We
But
can
right
do it at the
now-
island, can't we?
What is there,
Yeah, you could put them on the island.
And just to carry them across the bridge.
well, it's just as easy to put them there, or I can put them up by Timetable Mabel or something like that. We have permission for
There's
the
a set of
state.
steps.
Yeah, that little set of steps, that's what I was planning on it, and we can make a nice, neat stack, and I'd appreciate if the town could just, I mean, they're all butt end pointed out, so they're easy to load.
Okay,
And do
because where
that.
would he put a trailer
Oh,
stored?
he wouldn't need to,
I
they
know,
could pull a
where-
truck
is
up
it- yeah.
in those 3 spots, the
You're just gonna
pseudo
have to come
spots.
pick them up.
Yeah,
'Cause it's
Can't
like,
really put a trailer over there,
We
Joyce,
lease
is what
the
he's saying.
property.
yeah,
Timetable Maple's on.
Because you have the
That's all part of
railroad
the state.
right away, and then...
Let me know when you're gonna be
State
there,
doesn't
John,
own
I'll
it.
help.
really?
They own the shorefront.
I
But
didn't
that
know where
property
he was
basically on
stacking
this
them. I
side of
thought he
the
was
rail,
stacking
we
them on
lease.
From who?
Salmon Run.
That's-
No, just the other side of the railroad tracks right now.
This is the heirs.
Just north of the porta potty.
It's
By the
that
sign
section, and I
for the
think-
concerts.
But it'd be
Yeah, a
nice
little bit of path.
if they could pull a truck up and just grab the branches and put them in, you know, and I'm gonna be really certain that they aren't just like this. All butt ends pointing out,
Okay.
nice and neat.
All right, so when you're
So-
ready for them to come pick them up, can you just shoot me an email?
Okay.
Because I don't usually go that way. I come across the,
Give me a yell, John, I'll come down and help.
Canoeing? Canoe, wanna go some canoeing and
I'll canoe, I'm more of a branch guy, but
Well,
Yeah.
the water's only about 2 feet deep by the wall there, or less. So ideally, that's a good time to
okay.
do it, and we'll cut them up, put them in the canoe, and that will prevent them from growing back like they did, because we're not just cutting the top that's going like this, they'll be down.
Thank you so much for doing that. That's very
All right.
nice. That would be
Thanks a
great.
lot.
what about
Update.
the, also
great.
having them pick up the rocks that they've, okay. But as far as the weed whacking, where the split fence rail is that something that you also, I mean, that's Chuck asking that. You had volunteered?
I didn't volunteer for that.
Where is he gonna, who's gonna be mowing that lawn?
We're not.
They're not, it's a wildflower mixture.
Once in the fall, and there's money in the budget for the Conservation Commission in order to get that done. Once a year.
Well, you
When they
shouldn't
do
have
the
to pay
PD,
for
why
that.
can't they just go right across the street and do that?
Yeah.
So,
Board,
Excuse me?
when they do the PD, when they mow the lawn and trim, can't they just go across the street and trim?
That's what they should do, yes.
I'm all for it, anything to make that a gateway into Tilton. I know it's not on their regular schedule of
I
things
think
to do,
someone
but-
should show them the first time where to,
Yeah, maybe Mr. Mitchell or yourself or whatever.
let them know that it's trimming only up to the,
Along the fence?
Right.
Not doing what you're
The
doing, but they're going
exterior
to
of the
pick up your
fence.
brush.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we're talking about mowing. We have an issue with 132 Ballfield. The mower broke down.
Yes, and he said he sent Arthur up to mow it.
He did. That was my question.
Yes, he did.
When I asked this morning, no one was certain whether it had been mowed, so it has been mowed.
Yes,
Because there
yes,
is
I
an
know.
event there
Yeah.
this weekend. Okay,
What
perfect.
happened to the mower? Isn't that relatively new?
I'll double check, because I'm going to be talking to Arthur, which leads me to my next thing,
Bolt sheared.
about
The-
putting up the
bolt that holds the front end of the mower deck.
doggy pole.
It's not a pin, no?
There's a bolt with a threaded nut.
they're going Friday to do that.
Since the field's not level, the bouncing, it just
The
gives
doggy
you the
pole.
bolt off.
Yes, tomorrow. So I just want to be clear about where everybody wants it.
Berm, all of a sudden, my front tires are 2 feet off the ground.
Are you listening?
You told me that.
I'm gonna use the gavel.
Better watch out, Joe, you're closer.
Yeah.
All right. Seems when Joyce gets up here, everybody has conversations, and it's not
Because I
fair.
bring up all the good stuff.
That's right.
It's very disrespectful.
And you start conversations.
Okay, what Allison had suggested was installing the unit next to the rules sign as you leave the island.
Next to the what sign?
The rules sign.
The rules.
I thought you said woo. I was going to say,
Well, when you go into the island off the bridge, it's on the left-hand side.
Correct.
It's on the left-hand
Seems like a
side.
good place for it.
See,
I
we're
would-
listening.
Why would you put it on the if you walk on the island, typically people walk on the right.
Because there's the post on the left
Where's
that,
Good Monkeys? The telephone pole is there, right, with the service.
who owns the telephone pole?
The trash, well, I don't know, the trash barrels are on the right-hand side.
Okay, the right-hand side it is. I don't know if it
Left-hand
makes any
side
difference,
has
does it?
the flower beds and nice stuff. I
Say
think
you put it
ooh
right in the
stuff should
middle,
be
let's
with
put
the
a
ooh
post
stuff.
and slow everyone down.
I like that. Keep to the right,
I mean, we're all
hoop to the right, flowers to the
right.
left.
poop bags to the right.
I say to the other right.
I'm drawing a picture for Arthur tomorrow morning, so Arthur's going to stop in because he wants to make sure he wants to put it in the right place. So
Well, it won't be
we'll leave
left,
this
apparently.
on the
Are we putting a
cabinet,
copy
so
of our
one of us
dog
is here.
poop ordinance with it?
Somewhere over in the vicinity of the trash buckets that are there now.
All right.
Oh, I wouldn't put them that far out.
Picture.
They're right as you get off the gate, off the bridge.
Not really.
It says right there, you gotta have them leashed, gotta pick up after them, I'm pretty sure.
Here's the Route 3, here's
What
the
am I
bridge,
saying?
here's
I
the
don't even want it
island.
there.
Well, Catherine wants them right as you get off
Catherine,
the
make the
bridge.
mark.
As soon as
It's
you,
Dog Poop Island, only if I get to put up a new sign.
Catherine wants it on the right-hand side as you're coming off the bridge,
Going into...
into it on the
Okay.
right-hand side,
So
right
right here.
there. And that's where Allison puts her table for the concerts, but we'll tell Allison just to move over because the dog, Catherine wants the dog thing there.
Okay, is everyone in agreement?
Looks good.
3 and 11, the bridge, the
Tell
island.
him to put it on the right-hand side where it makes sense. He's not a stupid man.
That's,
He won't do that. He'll put it
that's
where
just a
you want.
dispenser, right? It's not a
Just a
collector.
dispenser,
Okay.
That's crazy.
Okay. We don't have to vote on that, do we?
No.
Joyce Buck over there tomorrow, find a sensible place for it.
Okay.
Oh, no, 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 no.
No.
No,
Why, you don't
Get her
think
in
Joyce
trouble.
is capable?
no,
I got big
not
shoulders.
Arthur
I
and
can
Joyce.
take it.
I can't picture that, no.
Oh, yeah.
No,
we can do that.
I can't
No?
picture it. Oh, sorry.
Do we need to vote on Salmon Run? As long as Dennis knows that it is a board's decision.
It is
So
a
it's
board's
coming-
decision.
Decision.
Why don't we do a table?
Consensus?
Yes.
Get her
Yes.
done.
Okay,
Yes.
consensus of the
Absolutely.
board. Okay, so just a few little
There's
housekeeping
forever.
things. I stopped at the AG's office yesterday because it was right next to Ransmeyer and Spellman, and I went in and I asked to speak to the person that approves the contracts for DOT, and they spent quite a bit of time looking, and they came out and they said, we don't have anything. So when I got back, I called Glenn. I said, Glenn, I'm telling you, we're going to call the governor. They don't have the contract there for the trail. And he had told me earlier in the week that he'd been calling Tom Jameson at least twice a day to find out, what they're doing. Because I said, we can't wait any longer. So he did email tonight, and I'll quote, he said, Tom Jameson sent us this, it's the temporary use agreement. It's not our agreement, it's the temporary use agreement for the contractor, and he said that everything is all set to go.
But,
He said, we're all set, so Lyman can start. But then I sent him another email, and I didn't get a chance to talk to him tonight. I said, but Glenn, Catherine's going to ask me where our signed copy of the agreement is. I said, I want a signed copy. I mean, we all signed it, where's his signed copy? And I didn't get an answer.
So ask the question.
That's unacceptable. That is so unacceptable. That's a legal document, and they've lost it.
According to Tom Jameson, he said that Railroad has everything they need. And this is what they needed to have approved by the Assistant Attorney General, which was the contractor's temporary use agreement. But I said, Glenn, the town of Tilton, Catherine Dawson, wants, and I want, a signed agreement between Railroad, Northfield, and Tilton.
It's not acceptable, yeah.
So I will tell him. But I emailed Chuck,
I knew they'd weasel out of it.
and as soon as I get a firmer answer from Glenn, hopefully tomorrow, I'll call Crederi, and so he can call Belknap and say, get in there.
Anybody else want to see the temporary use agreement?
So, and you can let them know that as it stands, there is no rail trail agreement for this section of the trail between the town of Tilton and them. There isn't. It doesn't exist unless they produce it. None of those documents exist with this section of the trail.
Someone better find it, because that's important to have.
So we don't have any obligations to them whatsoever.
Do we have
for
a copy of it?
maintenance, Nothing.
Do we have a copy of it?
We have a copy of what was signed by Northfield and Tilton Selectmen and witnessed, all the signatures are witnessed, but not signed by Bureau of Railroad and Lou Barker, who's the person that oversees contracts in Bureau of Railroads. We have the signed one with the sewer.
Has anyone got in touch with this Lou Barker?
Oh, we could.
Probably sitting on his desk.
I can call Lou. I don't think I'd be stepping on anybody's toes, because according to Tom Jameson, who's the project manager for it, they're all set with their paperwork, but we want our document.
Hey, right now, we have no obligations whatsoever. None?
Well, yeah, at least the contractor can start now. Okay, and just a couple things for, I've been keeping track of for your schedule. The bids for the police impound are due July 24th. That's tomorrow.
Yeah, but I extended it.
Oh, you did?
Yep, because we only have one concrete bid.
Who extended it?
I did.
Okay.
It's not an official bid opening, it's just, I told them I'd like the bids by.
Well, yeah, deadline, it says
Yeah,
deadline for bids.
deadline for bids, I just want it by.
Oh, we didn't set the date. Okay.
So I extended it a week, and I physically phoned people and begged them to bid on it.
Okay.
I mean, yeah,
And
I
then
won't say it in public, but.
getting bids for road improvements, Westwood Drive and Ridge Road. Dennis had set that deadline for July 30th at 4:15.
Yep.
Okay. And at some point, we were going to look at the Public Works Director job description. Right?
Yep.
And also,
Yes, because we didn't feel that it needed a civil engineer.
right. Something we should do soon. And I'll need a brief non-public on 2 personnel. Well, this I don't, but I don't know, has everybody been notified of that?
Yeah, you've been, did I call you and tell you about this?
Yeah.
I don't know about Peter, though, because he was in Maine.
So 1 personnel matter.
No, but I saw it.
Okay. We're all privy to it.
Okay. And also, so just 1 personnel matter, and then the other is a report to the board on the mediation session. I have a couple handouts for you.
Is that non-public?
Non-public, because it's...
I'm choking on the ginger.
And I'm almost done with the RFP for the curbside recycling and municipal solid waste, but it isn't done yet to give to the board, and I didn't have an opportunity yet to email the board so that you all have a copy of what the actual changes were to read in color. I haven't done that yet. And we received this letter. Did you talk about this yet?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We made a motion
Oh, you did?
that you would graciously send a note, and but the selectmen declined to enter into an agreement. Politely declined,
Okay.
but thank you for your interest.
I thought it was
That kind of a
absolutely
letter.
not.
It was a nice motion.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
I wasn't here that day, or probably it would be different.
Well, I have all
Did you see the
set up.
video?
This is good that this happened. The last time I updated this, this is an index of all the documents that I have in that file,
Oh, yeah.
because there's quite a bit of history, and so it keeps coming back. So now I can update it since the last time I updated it.
Well, Catherine's got a lot more than this.
I'm sure she does.
What's that?
That's an index of all my file that I have on that matter, which was just to
MCMG.
the parking.
Yeah,
on Mill
that
Street.
takes some space.
So I'll update it because it goes way back, and I've got copies of Selectmen's.
Fees.
It'll say
Selectmen's.
all the
Thank you.
correspondence that
Did I
we
give you a
had.
copy of the original agreement? Written by
Bags there if you want.
Charles.
The one that's not
The one that
signed.
was never signed.
One that was never signed. We did have this agreement, though.
Did you want this?
But, I mean, it's no longer in effect,
That's
but,
it.
and that was, I'm pretty sure I printed that one out.
Oh, yeah.
That's the one that the selectmen signed and you didn't?
No, there was this one. Oh, wait, that's the snow removal one.
Oh, that's for the sidewalk.
And I also have, this is interesting, this is the grant document from the $30,000 from rural development, which was kind of like a CDBG document that you promise them your firstborn son in perpetuity, so that we have a copy of this to know what we're obligated to do.
Does your firstborn son know that?
I don't think so. He's still looking for a baseball bat.
You know, how we can never dispose of the property and that kind of stuff. All right, so I will gladly send a letter. And maybe one of these days, Gail, I'll sit down with you and I'll go through that file. Because every now and then it comes up, and then you spend a lot of time saying, where did we leave off, and researching. This way, I'll keep it updated, and you'll have immediate access to it.
All right.
That's it.
So, is there any burning need to say anything in public?
No.
Anybody? Bring anything up?
Is this the last time we're going to speak in public for a while?
No, but we do have non-public, and we have a non-public scheduled for 7 as well, but we could take care of Joyce's first, and then the non-public is coming at 7, go right into that, and then
No,
come out, and we have selectmen's reports, and then that's it.
Okay, no, good.
You good?
I just, one other thing, Highway Department follow-up, 3 applicants so far. Autumn Drive has been patched. The handicap spaces in Lot C have been done. The speed bumps on Daniels Drive and Chestnut are done. The no parking signs on Main Street. The no trespassing signs for tax-deeded property are up on both parcels and locked with asps. And then there was a request from a couple of employees from the town that they thought it might make good sense to have another no parking town hall use only sign attached to the handrail coming up on School Street, but positioned such that it's in front of that other parking space.
Well, I would say yeah, because there's 2 cars parked out there right this second. I don't recognize either one of them. So I'm guessing they're not noticing the sign.
Well, we have one on the pole, and then we have
Yeah.
one on where the platform is on the ramp, but to have another one, is that okay?
They want to, wait a minute, they want a third sign?
Why don't we just ticket the people there?
Yeah, why do we want a third sign?
Because people aren't respecting it. They think because
They
there
didn't
isn't a
respect
sign
it.
there.
Here's the thing, it doesn't matter what we put up for signage. If it is not policed and enforced, it just doesn't matter.
We talked about that earlier,
Right,
Joyce.
any danger for you.
We said that we would notify onions, and we would notify the fitness not to use it, that our rules have changed, that, and I don't think they've been notified, to notify their patrons that they can't park there any longer.
I don't want to buy another sign. If we had a sign,
Okay, that's
but
fine. Is the PD notifying them, or do you want us to notify them?
Well, I
They
think,
should.
I think the PD should notify them. Yes, I don't care who notifies them, as long as they're notified, properly notified that, now it's changed till 9 o'clock at night and nobody uses it, except for town business only.
Okay.
We call the PD and tell them that there's 2 cars parked there that there shouldn't be right at this moment. Maybe they should come over and investigate.
Yeah, we could do that. And maybe that could get the conversation going to the owners or over next door, and they could be aware that the rules have changed, and then they won't do it.
Now, is it illegal to put flyers on people's cars?
Yes.
Why?
Oh, so you can't put like a little,
No.
just FYI, you've,
I mean, it's not illegal.
Isn't putting a ticket on a car the same thing?
they'll probably
It's a
just...
flyer, it's just now it has a penalty
Geez,
attached.
I get them all the time. You used to be parked in the Shaw's parking lot when they were there, and you knew
Oh,
you
yeah.
were gonna come out with something. Car
Don't
wash,
get that
rummage
anymore,
sale.
But now you don't get them
Remember.
anymore. They don't allow that anymore.
Really?
Who does them?
The state doesn't allow that anymore. Maybe about 2-3 years ago, they put in a,
Anywhere? Or
In the-
just on state property?
no, anywhere.
That
You
would be
can't go in the parking lot because it's
Cheapest, easiest way to
they
notify
can't go to
people.
your personal vehicle and put signs on them anymore.
You know, I bet I could make a call over to Onion and say, hey, the
there you
police are gonna be, they're coming over to ticket the cars on that, and you'll see people run over there and...
Any event, the issue that we had an issue earlier that there was an entity using the town hall for meetings, and there was a discussion downstairs that we could probably ask them to use the upstairs rather than downstairs. That point is mute now because they're not going to be meeting at town hall any longer.
Who was meeting?
The charter school.
That's too bad. Why not?
The meetings were long, and they had come to an agreement long before that they were taking up too much of the town's time downstairs, and they should be finding another place. They have another place, actually.
Well, I think we should talk about a policy in place because we've had other entities in here, we've had other nonprofits in here, using town hall that weren't associated with town.
Yep.
There was a group that was coming up here, I think, last summer. Transportation people.
RCC, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, the
They were coming up.
RCC.
We had a church that came in a couple of times.
TAC meetings have been held here.
Yep. I think,
UST meetings have been held here.
well, that's town.
Kinda, yeah.
The underground storage tank?
Yeah.
That's totally town. I just don't think that during business hours, that any entity, even town groups, supervisors of the checklist, planning and running during business hours should be meeting downstairs in that meeting room. If this room is available, they should be meeting up here. That room is used all day long by the town clerk's office, the land use office, by almost, the auditors
Town
were just in
administrator.
there.
People
town
that come in to
administrator.
look at tax cards.
Yep.
Assessor.
It's
People filling out
assessing.
exemptions,
They might need to use that table to...
So I think we
That's
need to have a
reasonable.
policy in place that
finance for auditing.
any meeting during the day, whether it's a town-affiliated board or commission,
Has that been an issue?
yes,
Yeah.
should be upstairs.
Yeah, I agree with that. RCC always met up here.
What do you think?
Yes.
And do they sign up for it, or do they show up?
No, they
No, you have to run
contact
it
Gail
through.
to find out if the room is available.
So it's sort of like, same thing as the park?
Well, they
Like
don't
using
fill
the-
Well, you have to
Commission.
reserve it.
Like the fire commissioners, they'll call and say when the meeting is, and then they have a calendar, and then they,
Yeah.
Oh,
They don't
Yeah.
fill out an application.
yeah, that's fine.
No $75 check?
No $75 check.
And we did give, the board voted, and we gave them a key.
The key to...
They have a key to come in.
fire commissioners. Okay. All right. Did you get someone for the parks on Saturday? Who did?
I haven't heard from anybody, so I don't mind going down.
Employee.
That's what,
Works for me.
make sure you put in your time. Okay. Thank you. There's another thing I wanted to ask you about. The trees, did we get our
No.
FP out there for trees? No.
No, I'll have it for you next week.
For your trees.
Yeah, I've got a list
Mansville
of,
Road?
I've got a partial list of tree people, and Peter will probably be more available this week.
Before the non-public, and Jane's here, do you want to talk a little bit about what's going on in Belmont?
Oh,
Oh,
yes.
yeah.
She's aware of it.
Yeah, and, just for public FYI. Casella has changed their whole thing sort of to accommodate some of the issues that we report violations with the hot loads and how they were handling them and things like that. It seems like DES has sort of given a blanket approval to it, provided that the planning board in Belmont approves it. They gave us plans. Dari did a great job, and Joyce, to dig all this information up, because it's kind of been in the background without us knowing it.
No, I went to Dari about it.
You did? That was near yeah. So, on Monday night, the planning board's going to review it. I took a look at some of these plans and the permitted drawings, and maybe if the planning board members, as well as Conservation Commission members, take a look to find any flaws, because this could be what we're going to live with for our final, what's going to be on top of our aquifer, unless we find some, not emotional type things, we don't want it there, but serious flaws in some of these plans, and I think I've found a few myself already. It looks like, I don't see where they actually properly mapped the wetlands there. And I want to look at the flood. Did they do 100-year, 50-year? The basin that's collecting everything is clay lined, so basically it's always going to be full. So how is it going to hold the extra flooding? Same thing we got again, impervious surfaces, the trucks driving around with the leachade over impervious surfaces. It didn't seem right that the drainage for the transfer station is, I can't figure out the piping for it.
Is this really an answer to DES's barrage of questions?
That's what it is, yeah.
Why haven't we heard from DES?
I asked Dari the same thing.
DES...
Talking about it, I said, I can't believe they haven't responded to 2 letters that we sent.
We sent notices of violation, not comments.
But they have 30 days to respond to those.
Yeah.
Violation, and they
They're
haven't done that.
violations, and they were not comments to the land transfer, they were violations being reported.
So why aren't we contacting our state senator representatives?
And it's not just the Hazardous Waste Bureau should be responding, as well as the DS, the transfer guys, the waste.
Solid waste?
Solid Waste Department.
And neither of those departments responded.
Did the water district apply to have the aquifer changed? Reclassified? And what happened with that? That's probably being stalled for this project. I think we
Right.
need to go
That's what I think's
higher up.
happening, is that it's being stalled so they can make the
Necessary change.
necessary changes, and then it's going to be accepted.
So So I think one good thing to do is rally everybody up from Conservation Commission, Planning Board, to go over these things with fine-tooth comb for actual factual errors in them, so we can bring them to the Planning Board and ask them to deny this because of errors in it, and at least delay it, or, get it so that if we're going to end up with something, we better make sure it's going to be a good one, if it's not going to stop it. And then go down to Monday.
Anything in there?
Something to Jeannie Forrester. I had talked to Jeannie and asked her why she didn't come to the meeting. She didn't really know about it. She said she would check into it, but I haven't heard anything since.
Did they address anything in there about how it's going to be monitored for compliance?
They said they wouldn't need monitoring because there's a pond. They waived it in the, did you get the last email I sent from that Kathy Mitchell? Kathy Mitchell did a great job, and she recovered some of the documents in the meeting in June, that DES had their hearing on it, and then that's when they requested for the site modifications. And in there, it talks about, I believe they state that they don't need to monitor it because it's all going into the clay line detention area. And then from there, it spills out onto the ground in that new lot that they got, which they show the wetlands being there. There's wetlands and a brook, but it's just the right amount of distance away from the wetlands, but I didn't see any evidence of mapping the wetlands. So there's a lot of conditions that we could bring to the planning board to state that this is not a proper submitted plan and that it's still inadequate.
I'll forward this to you, Jane.
So, we can get together, and then by Monday, show up at the planning board meeting and just go in there with why these plans are defective and inadequate, and the safety thing. I mean, we can also address that we've never been noticed on it or anything, but, so that's where we're at with the Belmont.
Great.
I'm going.
All right, I am too.
Does the board want me to at least follow up with
DES?
the two people that we sent the letters to?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Anybody else?
I do, and would you please keep the water company district informed?
Are you going to call them?
I'm going to call them and follow it up with an email, because it's hard to get to speak to them directly.
Yes, it is.
No.
What they say? Sure.
Yeah, on the planning board.
All right. So, anything... Oh, I did get a call from a resident in town and asked the question. I told him I'd bring it forward to you folks. I know we took the flags down that were old and scrappy looking from when the Main Street program put them up downtown, but a suggestion was made that could we actually put American flags up in their in place of the flags?
Only on the poles that have the lights
lighted
they
poles.
requested, yeah.
Right.
I'd agree, only if they're maintained properly.
That
And
would
you
be,
could take them down and we could, next year we could bring them, we
think
bring
you
them to
said-
the Legion and take care of them, and then next year,
Is this, you mean where the banners used to be?
Yep.
On the lighted poles, it might not be where the banners are. If we're going to leave them out there at night, they have to have lights on them, so
I think there was 16 poles or something like that, 14.
I think there's only a dozen with lights, so.
Yeah.
Why
Pretty
couldn't
sure.
we get a combination of state flags and some town flags? Put the town flags where there's no lights,
Yeah,
so we don't have empty.
yeah, that would be great. Anything to spruce up downtown, I'm all about
Emblem on the
that.
side of the cruisers, isn't it?
It's of the arch,
Well, that's our town symbol.
our town symbol.
And, yeah.
Where's
I
that
always thought
arch
it was-
located?
I always thought it was funny, unless you want to
Right over
design
there.
one.
Across the river.
I do know that we have there's a municipal agreement, there's a process we have to go through with Eversource to put things on the poles.
We should
We've
find
already,
out.
We already
that's-
have that, we
had
have
that in
existing
agreement.
brackets.
And we have existing brackets still up there. So if you look at the.
But not on every pole, right?
Yeah, we do have.
Are they
them
on every pole? Okay.
If
And
you,
it's not-
downtown,
It's power, not telephone? Or is
yes,
that
it's
the
power.
telephone?
They own the
Downtown,
They own the poles, so.
they own the ones downtown. Some of them power owns, some of them telephone owns. Depends on whose number is on the top. If it's,
And what type of brackets?
if it's electric, then they own it. If it's phone company.
AT&T.
It's usually AT&T. But if you look at our existing PSNH, not Eversource, PSNH agreement
Nobody's home in the barn.
on that, that would be the existing one, and then we could just update it accordingly.
Yeah, it's just a matter of sending them a list,
We'll be right with you.
sending them a list.
Yep. And just asking them to redo it, having banners, instead of banners, having American flags or
And then
state, town flags, whatever.
purchase the flags, so we have to, do you know what size you want?
Well, are you trying to put them in where the banner holders are, or are you gonna go to a regular flagpole like you see in
Yeah,
most
it's
towns?
gotta be a flagpole.
It's got to be a flagpole.
Why?
Well,
Gotta be
where
a
the
flag.
banners are, there are clamp that comes, there's two clamps here, and then there's a holder that comes to hold the bracket for the banner. So they wouldn't hold the flag that way.
But if you just had banners that were stars, stripes, not the true American flag, but
Yeah.
Go to the same company that we got the
Yeah,
banners from.
see what they
I
have
bet we could do that.
for something, that's
We could do that.
patriotic.
I
patriotic
like
flag.
flags.
I
myself.
kind of like the flags and the flag, just an attachment.
If we did the patriotic, then we could put those on every banner, on
Yeah.
every pole.
Right.
Why don't we get a sampling of what they have?
And how much of the flags.
Right.
With the proper bracket.
I think that would look
So
nice.
we know.
Okay. All right. At this time, I'd like to make a motion to go into non-public as per RSA 91A:3, personnel.
Second,
Roll call vote.
yes.
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 All right, thank you, Jane. I think they're old friends.
We won't.
Time being 9:16, I'll make a motion to go to sleep. No, I'll make a motion to seal the minutes of the non-public session as they pertain to personnel and reputation matters permanently?
Till the matters are resolved. Oh,
Until the, no,
Okay, so you just sealed the decision to take something out in non-public.
no, we made that.
Decision in non-public that you just
those
sealed.
that pertain to personnel permanently, that which pertains to legals until the matter is resolved.
And those which we made public shall be public.
Yes, okay. What
What
you
they
said,
said.
if you can get all that in there, that's my motion.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Go ahead, quick.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Vote with your feet.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Thank God.
Next week, don't forget, next week, the employee personnel